I'm a teen, about to have a birthday, and I've got a tween autistic brother. He uses his iPad for everything, to eat, sleep, and get ready for school. Everything. He goes through 7 or 8 iPads a year, which is a tremendous financial strain on my parents. We were supposed to go to my favorite restaurant and an escape room for my birthday, and my parents were meant to be paying for most of that, but I saved some of my money to help them out. My brother broke his iPad again last week, so my parents had to pay for a new one, and they said they wouldn't be able to take me out for my birthday. I said that was fine, because I still had enough to pay to take myself to dinner. So I asked them for my saved money back, and they told me they had to use it for the new iPad. I got really upset by this, and asked them why they'd do that without even telling me first, and they said they knew I'd say no, and that my brother needed the iPad. I said that my brother could have waited a week, that I'd never come first, and that they needed to prioritize me for once over him. They both got angry at me and now aren't going to be doing anything for my birthday because they said I need to stop being so selfish and stop being an idiot because I'll never know how hard it is to raise an autistic child and that his needs will always come before my wants. Am I the idiot for telling my parents I need to come first for once? Not the idiot. Dude, they took your saved money and then punished you for getting mad that they took your money? And they got mad that you asked to come first just once? That would send me over the edge. I really get upset when I read these stories about a child having to take a back seat to a sibling with special needs. It is so unfair, and my heart goes out to you. Your parents are doing you a disservice, and it's just plain cruel. The only thing I can think of is to perhaps contact a family member, an aunt or an uncle, or grandparents if they're in the picture, and explain your life to them. They might be able to help you out. This post honestly broke my heart. OP saving up their own money to throw themselves a birthday party, and to have that stolen from them and told to deal with it? So cruel. Also, what the heck is bro doing to his iPads? Both my kids have autism, and as crappy as their Amazon tablets have gotten over the years, there's not one crack on the screen, and they were tantrum happy at the ages they got them. Your parents are stupid. Why aren't they getting insurance for devices or warranties? 7 to 8 iPads a year is insane to me. And they're Apple iPads? Absolutely insane. Right? Come on, if he's truly that violent and going through that many a year, then for goodness sake, stop buying him iPads. He doesn't need something that expensive. Why did your parents have your money? Regardless, they stole from you. Them being angry and calling you selfish reeks of guilt. They know they're doing the wrong thing here, but want to shift the blame. Raising an autistic kid is hard, but being a sibling to one also comes with its own challenges. And I say this as an autistic person myself. They had 2 children. They needed to parent both of them. Is it harder and more exhausting, given these circumstances? Yes, but that doesn't give them the right to neglect you. Sadly, when you move out at 18 and rarely call or visit, they'll be all over you. But until then, benign neglect is the way to go. Hint, benign neglect never is benign to the neglected. I hope you still have a wonderful birthday. To preface this, I don't believe I've done anything wrong to warrant the roommate's tears, but a part of me wants validation that I was just and not overbearing. I'm a strong woman who stands up for herself, but sometimes afterward, I feel guilty for simply putting my foot down. It's also worth noting that my boyfriend and I had this apartment alone originally and invited the roommates in when they needed a place to stay for money reasons. Our boyfriends are brothers. My roommate got a blue-collar job 2 months ago, and she now wakes up early and does chores for an hour until she leaves most days of the week. I'm the only one still home and sleeping at this time. I've already had 1 or 2 discussions with her about this, and she says she'll try to be quiet. If I say something, it gets better for maybe a day, if that, and she goes back to closing cabinets and laundry machines unnecessarily loud and walking heavily, almost stomping. I said something to her this morning and was much more firm. I said, "This can't happen. I'm unwilling to lose the last hour of my sleep, so you can do chores at a ridiculous time." I told her she could do it quietly at night or not in the morning. I added that it was very disrespectful of her to act like that because I know the cabinets and doors can be shut quietly as well as not clanging dishes together. She said she'd try, but don't be an idiot to her, that I've been disrespectful with how I talk to her, but she's referring to past convos similar to this when she or her boyfriend were acting inconsiderately. I feel I've been nothing but an adult, and when I have to repeat myself over crap like this, of course I'll be less nice each time I have to repeat myself. She said I come at her all the time like this, but she's referring to the times that I pointed out things like leaving water around the tub, leading to damage. I said if she thought I was being disrespectful about it, I'm not sure how she thinks her boyfriend's parents would react if she did that when she lived with them. She didn't like that very much because she knows I'm right. She wouldn't imagine doing that to them and told me not to speak to her at all from now on. A few more texts were exchanged. I asked what exactly I did or said to be disrespectful, and then she blocked me. She proceeded to call her boyfriend and cry about it, and then he texted my boyfriend and said we should leave her alone and that they'd be looking for a new place. We literally share a wall in our apartment. I get people have disagreements, but getting mad at your roommate for something like this, saying they're disrespectful for them voicing their concerns, and then blocking them is just childish. And then playing the victim. This is what a kid does when they hit another kid, then cry and tattle when they get hit back. Am I the idiot? Is there any way to show them how ridiculous and inconsiderate they're being? Not the idiot. You've asked her before not to slam cabinets at 4 a.m. That isn't an outrageous ask to me. It was also your place first, and you've allowed them to move in. If they can't be considerate, they can leave instead. I hope she never gets fired or has a bad day or gets broken up with, because if someone telling you to keep it quiet in the mornings is enough to make you cry, then you've got bigger problems. Sounds like the trash has decided to take itself out. You cannot use reason with unreasonable people. Therefore, you cannot make an unreasonable person understand anything. Take people for who they are and govern yourself accordingly. Agreed. It sounds like the problem is resolving itself. They're moving the heck out. She seems to be making noise purposely to wake you up. Is she resentful that you get to sleep in and she doesn't? There's no reason why doors and dishes need to be slammed and banged, especially when she's been asked on multiple occasions to be more mindful. Crying about it is ridiculous. I'd also arrange in writing a date for them to leave. They're presumably not on the lease anyway, and things will only continue to deteriorate, and you'll want them gone ASAP, I imagine. 3 weeks ago, after several years of no contact, my maternal aunts, both in their early 40s, reached out and asked to catch up. They made the same offer to my brother, but he turned them down. I was curious to hear what they had to say, so I met up with them. I hadn't seen them since I was 11-ish. I'm now 22. We met up, and they told me that my half-siblings had ended up in the care of one of my aunts last year after having a crappy time in foster care. The background is my mom cheated on my dad during their marriage. She got pregnant after me and thought the baby was his until she was 7 months pregnant. They broke up and she moved in with the other man. My brother and I were young then, but not so young that we couldn't put things together. My mom ended up having 2 kids with this other man. He died suddenly when the kids were babies. My mom died when I was 11. She died from an asthma attack. The kids' paternal family wanted nothing to do with them and refused to take custody. My aunts were my mom's only family, and they both had young families at the time and didn't feel like they could take on 2 additional children who were so young. My dad was also asked, and he didn't take them either. So the kids went into foster care. They were never adopted and did not end up with good families. My brother and I never saw them after my mom died, and we didn't see our aunts afterward either because they were so mad at our dad that things became too toxic. My brother and I never resented or blamed or hated our dad for not taking our half-siblings. Heck, we didn't even really miss seeing them. We didn't bond with them while mom was still alive, and we weren't even that close to Mom after the affair and her moving in with the other man. My aunts have hated my dad all these years for not stepping up, keeping the four of us together, and giving the kids a loving home. They said they couldn't do it, and they hated that, but pointed out that our dad had money, had the space in his home, and he could have, but he wanted to punish kids for our mom's actions. They said it was evil what he did. They were intense about their hatred of him and made it clear they were reaching out because they thought my brother and I would hate him too and would be a part of the family with our half-siblings. Not being interested in that and not liking how they talked about my dad, I told them they should stop taking their guilt out on my dad and accept that my dad was the last person who had any obligation to these kids. My aunts were like, "How could you say that over your poor little siblings? And didn't I hate what happened to them and miss them and wished I'd had them in my life?" They asked how I could say he had no obligation when he was mine and my brother's dad, and he was the reason we were separated from our two younger siblings. I left and they texted me after, saying the same stuff and saying how awful it was that I had that attitude. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your aunts are ridiculous Delulu lemons. You are 100% correct here. Your mom cheated and got caught. She moved in with the guy she cheated on your dad with and had 2 kids. Your dad had 0 responsibility for those kids. Is their situation sad? And do I feel bad for them? Of course. Is their situation your dad's fault? Absolutely not. In any way. Your mom was the one who stepped out on your dad. Your mom was the one who broke up your family, not your dad. To imply otherwise is absurd and delusional. They just expected your dad to take in 2 kids that weren't his because what? And where's the paternal family of those kids, though? They did have an obligation and said no. And that's okay with your aunts? Why? This is more about the fact that your aunts resent your dad for not staying with your mom than it is about those kids. But why have they suddenly resurfaced and want to catch up? There has to be another reason why they're all up and want to make friends. Money favors? Your aunts are delusional, and your brother had the right idea. Block their numbers and move on with your life, free of their crap. It's not your circus, so why buy a ticket? I bought myself a nice blender. I work part-time at home and watch the young kids too young for preschool. Due to my staying home, I cook a lot, which I enjoy, so it's not a big deal. Now, the issue is that he's angry about how much this blender cost, which was $125. This annoyed me since I used my fund money for it, and it's a household tool even if he won't use it. I thought we were over it, but I pulled it out again to make a smoothie, and he made some more comments about a waste of money and a stupid buy. I had a conversation with him about this whole situation again, and he made more comments the next time I took it out, and I had enough. Now every time I make something using a blender, I don't give him any. It came to a head today. I made a soup and used the blender. I told him I used the stupid blender and made it so he couldn't have any and make his own food. This caused a huge argument, and he thinks I'm a petty jerk. But I've told him so many times not to call my purchases a waste. Am I the idiot for taking it so far? Edit. He makes comments about this blender every single time he sees it. It could be chilling in the cabinets, and he opens that one, and then the comments start. Every single time. Not the idiot. You're using it, so what's the problem? If you bought it and it was just sitting there gathering dust, then he could moan. Sounds like you don't have a husband but a child. What is this dude's problem? I'd serve his soup in a sippy cup until he got over himself. You are the idiot. In my life, I've owned 2 blenders. I think the most expensive one was $15. If money is tight enough that $100 is causing tension, then yes, it was a stupid purchase. But to be petty enough to deny your partner some soup because you blended it, that's just out and out crappy of you. God, I'm glad I'm not married to you. You sound challenging to live with, and you should probably thank your lucky stars that you found a man to stick it out with you. Good luck. Disagree. $125 is not a lot for a blender, especially if you're using it and bought it with your fun money. I'm not well off, and I bought my blender on sale for $300. I think it's a shame that you have to budget for a household tool like it's a personal toy. But since you did, your husband has no leg to stand on, and he shouldn't get to eat the goodies you make with your toy. I think he's just jealous you can save your fun money, and he cannot. OP, he gets annoyed with things he thinks are useless to him. I find it hard to believe he's that selfish in this specific area and not selfish about his being the only relevant opinion in other areas. Are there things in your life together where you just let him have his way because it's not worth disagreeing with him? What's that going to look like when your children are old enough to hold different opinions from him? For example, if they don't enjoy eating a particular food item that he thinks they should eat, or if they're more hungry than he thinks they should be, or they aren't tidying up their toys to exactly the level of tidying he thinks is important. Oh, this is not just about the blender. Are you happy in this relationship? Mini update. It comes down to the money. I save my fun money and buy nice things. He likes to spend it right away. I don't remember the last time he bought something that was $100 or more, which is stupid since we get around $200 fun money a week. So me buying a $125 blender he thinks is useless makes him angry. It took him 3 months to save $70 for a game. He just spends all the fun money the moment he sees it. This post made me start thinking about my marriage. I am asking for couples counseling, and if things don't change, I'll be done. My 22 female, boyfriend 26, unfortunately just lost his mom, 46, to breast cancer a couple of weeks ago. She got the diagnosis in early 2020 and started treatment right away, but had a lot of adverse side effects and eventually decided to stop treatment altogether about a year ago. So we knew this was coming for a while, but it's been hard now that she's gone. We only started dating a couple of months before her diagnosis, so I've tried to be as supportive as possible for most of our relationship. He is obviously grieving, and I'm hurting for both him and his mother. He's come over a lot in the past couple of days, and I feel like he really needs me right now. The funeral was yesterday, and I assumed I'd be sitting next to him for support because I didn't know anyone else. Traditionally, the immediate family sits together up front, but he told me that I'm basically family to him because we know we're getting married sometime in the next year. So it was him, his dad, his brother's wife, and me. Nobody said anything about it, so I assumed it was okay. And I made sure to stay out of about 90% of the family pictures and give them their space during the more intimate parts of the service. Well, now many of his family, friends, and extended family are gossiping about it, and I feel bad. I didn't realize it was such a big deal where I was sitting. Am I the idiot for sitting next to my boyfriend at his mom's funeral? Not the idiot. Blah. People are dissing you for being supportive of your boyfriend because what exactly? If your boyfriend had a problem, he could have said so. Ask him if he had a problem, and if he did, apologize, then let it go. There will always be folks who gossip over petty things, so don't take it to heart. Exactly, and if she had sat away from him, those gossipy hens would be clucking about that. Those people are behaving atrociously. Events like this bring out the worst in people. In this case, all the harpies are now flocking to point fingers at whomever they can, when really, this should be about grieving as you need and supporting those struggling. OP, I consider you family. You've been there for him since before and through his mother's illness. There are too many women who would have run and left him in that situation. I rate that kind of girl the same as I rate those complainers. Your boyfriend wanted you beside him. No one else's opinion matters. His mom would have wanted you to be there for him.